Well, hello and a very warm welcome to episode 3 of BA Fringe at the BA Summit Southern Africa. Can you believe the first day of the conference is over already? It's flown by. I mean, the hardest decision has been to know what session to watch. And one of the advantages, of course, to this digital format is we've actually got the opportunity to go back and look at the sessions that we missed. So we don't have to split ourselves into 3 or 4. And we can actually go back and watch it. So we have some fantastic extra content for you during today's session. Now, as a reminder, BA Fringe is sort of an added bonus, if you like. It's not a formal part of the conference program. It's a little bit of extra stuff thrown in for free. And although the conference day has officially ended now, we've got some additional stuff, additional bonus material for you. Now, one thing, if you've seen any of the previous episodes, you'll know is that you can actually have a shout out read out live on air at the BA Fringe at BA Summit Southern Africa. If you haven't already seen how to do that, it's really, really easy. All you do is go to bafringe.live. That's the address that's just beneath me down there. Fill in a quick form and we will read out as many of them as we can in a future episode. And between the last episode and this one, it's like the floodgates opened. I think we've actually got more than we can read out in this episode, but we'll go with as many as we can. So first of all, we have Christina Lovelock. So hi Tina. Christina says, shout out to Inga Davids, who ran a great session today. A key takeaway being, if development is important to you, you should invest in yourself and don't be held back if your organisation won't invest in you. Fantastic wise words there. We have Tulani Maka, who says, at Joe Newbert, thanks for affording me an opportunity to attend this summit. It's an eye-opening summit. Speakers are on point. I'm learning a lot from the speakers in the group discussions and the panel discussions. Thanks. So yeah, I'm sure we're all picking up a huge amount from the session, and it's great that we've got this opportunity to globally connect at such a fantastic conference as this. Elizabeth Kelly says, missing the faces, chats and snacks. Oh, we all miss the snacks, don't we? And the coffee, the mid-afternoon coffee. But thank you to everyone who organised the conference and brought us all together. Yeah, +1 to that. Lucy Davies says, shout out and thank you to Liesel Conradi on her talk on online vigilance. It was like naming and shaping my digital daydreaming. I now have a term for it and will be more intentional and selective about doing it. It really hit home where she said, in the past, and I'm trying not to say in the good old days, we used to remember names and phone numbers far easier than we do now, as we have great technology to do that for us. So my takeaway is to use tech in a selective and intentional way. Thanks from Lucy. So some really thoughtful ponder points for us all there as well. And we have Deborah, who says, hey Durban crew, I miss our lean coffees and connections. It was so good to see or feel you during today's sessions. Please endeavour to show your faces tomorrow. Someone really misses you all. And Deborah actually sent in a photo, which I think we can display on screen in just a second. Here we go, which is presumably the Durban crew there at some of their IIBA events. So do remember that, by the way, that you can, if you submit a shout out, there's an attachment button. You can attach a photo or whatever, and we'll do our best to give them out. So I do know we have more shout outs coming in. We literally have more shout outs coming in as we speak. We will cover a few more. If we can't cover them in this episode, we'll cover them in a future episode. So okay, fantastic. So that brings us to our very first part of this episode. It's been a global conference. We've got representation from different nations within Africa and different places within the world. So we thought it would be great to have a truly international panel to sort of close the first day. So we really do have an international panel for you today. We have Awe, Abidé, Francis, Jared, Judy and Victoria. I would not be able to do justice to introduce these folks to you, so I will ask them to briefly introduce themselves in just a moment. But first of all, Abidé, Awe, Francis, Jared, Judy, Victoria, thank you so much for being with us today. Fantastic. So, okay, so I will now ask you all just to briefly say who you are, where you're from, and your, and your role, so that we can get a sense of who you are. So, so Abidé, if you could briefly give us an intro before we begin.
Okay, thank you, Adrian. So, as you said, I'm Abidé Nadege Yakpa. I'm from Côte d'Ivoire. And at the moment, I'm the former president of the BA community in Côte d'Ivoire.
Fantastic. And Awe?
Hi, Adrian. My name is Oludayo. I'm from Nigeria. I lead the IIBA community in Nigeria. Thank you.
Fantastic. Another IIBA leader. Francis?
My name is Francis Mumbi, coming in from Lusaka, Zambia. We're building the IIBA community within Lusaka and Zambia. I also lead data transformation at Stanbic Bank Zambia.
Fantastic, excellent. And Jared?
So I'm Jared Gorai. I'm the Director of Chapters and Membership Engagement here at IIBA. I come from Calgary, Canada, which is on the west side of Canada.
Fantastic. And Judy?
I am Judy Alter. I am the IIBA Global Chapter Council Chair, and I am from Omaha, Nebraska.
Fantastic. And last but by no means least, Victoria.
Hi everyone, I'm Victoria Cupet and I'm Regional Director of EMEA region of IIBA, which is Europe, Middle East and Africa.
Fantastic, thank you. So we've got really truly global representation on this panel and a very, very strong IIBA presence as well, which is rightly so because of course IIBA really has building or in the fibre of its mission is about building and uniting communities. So the first discussion point I wanted us to talk about is like challenges or changes, because we're all from very different parts of the world, very, very different cultures, I'm sure. And I'm interested in the biggest challenge or change that you see for us as BAs in the sort of current world that we find ourselves in. Well, Victoria, since I went to you last for the introductions, maybe I'll go to you first for the question. I'll put you on the spot.
Thanks, Adrian. I like to see challenges and changes as opportunities. So I would reformulate like what's the biggest opportunity for us as business analysts. And I think virtual medium is the biggest one now. So we need to learn how to do at least the same quality of work as we did before, not reducing the quality. So I would say stimulating and engaging people in contributing virtually as they do in face-to-face. This is the biggest challenge, but also opportunity from my side.
Yeah, so the virtual and getting that kind of, getting the same outcome or getting the desired outcome in a distributed and virtual world. Awe, what would you say the biggest challenge or change you see?
Okay, Victoria said something very important. I see both change and challenge as the two sides of a coin. And, in our present world today is to reposition people, in their work life, in their family life, despite the pandemic, not to have a drop in quality of life. And I see business analysis playing a very important role in that across work, across family, across schooling, healthcare and in other areas. Thank you.
Yeah, a really, really great point there, Awe, that we shouldn't let go of the human side in our analysis and that quality of life. So maybe Judy, if I bring you in here. So we've heard about the virtual side and we've heard about the human side. Anything you would add in terms of changes or challenges?
Well, I think that today's BAs, particularly the younger ones that are coming up, they really need to give a focus to data analytics and cybersecurity, because those are two parts of our field that are really exploding, so to speak. And so that would be good opportunities, I think.
Yeah. So data analytics, cybersecurity, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because if we've got the more things moving virtually, so if you think of more like telehealth or healthcare being online because of the virus, well, actually that means even more importance on cybersecurity, because the more you have healthcare records online or on a computer and so on. So, Jared, would you have anything to add?
So I agree with with everyone else so far, Adrian. I mean, it's no issue there, but I think one of the things that I see from a BA perspective is we need to step up and become more leaders in the change rather than simply a part of the change. That could be stepping away from projects into more of the enterprise analysis portion, but I think that's where the biggest opportunity for business analysts is to lead the change.
Yeah, so to take that step back, do that systemic, that holistic thinking, the strategy analysis, the enterprise analysis, and yeah, fantastic. So Abidé, anything to add? Anything you would think about challenges or changes?
I will say that everyone has said already the most big opportunities that we can face. And what I can add is that we have to be, as today, be on track, always checking to be more anticipative, because as we see, the COVID pandemic has created a lot of change in our way of working. From the past, for instance, we were working from the office. Now we are working remotely. And as a BA, as we are always in the change, continuous improvement of organization, we should be the owner of those change, as Jared just said.
Definitely. So more and more change, the pace of change, and last but by no means least, Francis, anything you would add? It's always hard going last on a panel session like this because many things have been said, but anything you would add?
Definitely. So I'll probably just try to summarize what everybody has been saying, and just add that I couldn't agree more. And I think what's the biggest change is the understanding the evolving role of a business analyst, and not just as an individual or a team of analysts who deliver products for the business, but stakeholders who are critical in the transformation of businesses as a whole. So a business analyst now should step up and continue to play that transformation role, working at the intersection of business and technology, but also bringing in the human element to be more effective and create value for both customers outside the organization, but also stakeholders within the organization. And I think linked to that, from a challenge perspective, is a skills gap to make that transition much more sustainable and scalable.
Yeah. So a sustainable and scalable transition, and I mean, if I think about synthesizing and summarizing those themes there, we've got everything from data and analytics, the human side, remembering the human side of a crisis like COVID, of stepping back and getting getting the holistic view, thinking about the virtual side. So a lot for us to be thinking about, right? So there's a lot for us, a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of space that we could step up and step into, and many of us, I'm sure, are at the periphery or maybe even firmly ingrained on that. So if there were like one or two trends, and we've probably heard a few of these already, but if you were to think, this is a trend I would be really, really watching right now, what would that trend be? So, Awe, what sort of trends would you be keeping an eye on?
Oh, Judy made mention about analytics and cybersecurity. It's more important than ever now, because you see, we have our kids being exposed to more online content. And I don't see that going away. It's going to be with us for as long as we can, as foreseeable.
Definitely. And Judy, you mentioned cybersecurity and data analytics already, so I'm sure you would agree with Awe there, but anything you'd add to that?
Well, there has been the trend with the explosion of Agile the last few years, where business analysts are becoming product owners, and then they're saying, and I don't know if it's coming from them or their management, but they're like, well, I don't need to belong to the IIBA anymore because I'm no longer a BA, I'm just a product owner.
Wow.
That just makes me angry.
Yeah.
So, I did a presentation about it, it's not true.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's a kind of a bad trend that we need to combat.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I was having a conversation with someone about that very topic, and they said, well, it's interesting because if you look at IIBA's BA box says anyone who does business analysis is a business analyst. That doesn't mean they're 100% a business analyst. And if you look at what a product owner or product manager does, some of what they do is business analysis. Not all of it, but some of it. So there's an interesting overlap there. Like the two communities, we need to become closer, not further away. So definitely anyone who says you don't need to be a part of the IIBA if you're in the product space is well, I would disagree with them as well.
Okay.
So Victoria, I think you would disagree with them as well, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I would say the latest trend is melting the boundaries between roles. So now it's not clear like when one role ends and another one begins. And I think it should be an overlapping. Instead of like saying, this is me and this is you and this is a boundary, it's like this, a handover. Yes, should be something overlapping. Otherwise, it's just will not work.
Yeah, great point. Those blending together and actually stuff we can learn from other communities, stuff other communities can learn from us, and that sort of blurry space in the middle is really interesting. Francis, any trends that you're particularly watching?
Yes, so the trends that I'm particularly interested in, of course, is the data aspect in terms of how it's becoming more pervasive and much more accessible. But linked to that at a technology level is the application of AI and how that artificial intelligence and how that is impacting businesses and the role that business analysts play in terms of managing these transitions. I think from a human level and relationship level, what I've been seeing more is the flattening of organizational structures across the board. Much more emphasis on titles, but more on around how teams are constructed and deliver value across different challenges and organization domains.
Yeah. So the flattening of structures and changing of power dynamics that involves is very interesting. Abidé, what sort of trends are you seeing or keeping an eye on?
I think it's data analytics as well, because today with data we can do some predictive analysis, we can forecast some things. So I think as a BA, if you want to lead the change, we have to be able to have all of the information on time by doing the data analytics as well. Definitely.
So having the actual information, the data to enable us to assist our decision makers in making those really insight-driven decisions. Last but by no means least, Jared, what sort of trends are you keeping an eye on?
So what hasn't already been said, it's interesting, the comment that you made, Adrian, about business analysis and who does business analysis and all that. I had a conversation with someone recently, well, I guess it was last year because I was traveling at the time, about, I'm not a business analyst. And we're finding it's less and less about the title, but more about the role. Yeah. We all do business analysis, every one of us. We may do it formally or less formally, but we all do it. So one of the things that I'm looking at is the need, the desire for continuous learning. And I think, coming to a conference such as this is a great step forward, because we have to keep up with all of these trends that we're talking about. Absolutely.
And it is interesting, isn't it, Jared, that actually you think about, like, in order to live, you have to do elements of business analysis. You have to make informed decisions and weigh up options. And there's an element of critical thinking in business analysis and vice versa. So yeah, really interesting stuff and thought-provoking. And the continuous learning element, absolutely, I'm sure we would all agree with. Well, thank you all so much for being part of the panel. Time is always against us on these panels, and an even bigger challenge with a panel that's so big with 6 of us. So thank you so much to all of you for being part of the panel. If people want to stay in touch, reach out, how would be the best way? Are you on, say, LinkedIn or Twitter? So Awe, how can people reach you if they want to stay in touch?
Well, I'm active on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter, so that's a good way to reach out to me.
Fantastic. And Abidé?
I'm very active on LinkedIn.
So LinkedIn, Francis?
Yeah. And LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook as well.
Okay, fantastic. And Judy?
LinkedIn is probably the best way.
LinkedIn. And Victoria?
LinkedIn as well.
LinkedIn. And Jared?
So many different ways. LinkedIn works, Twitter works, email works. Telepathy, not quite yet, but
Only a matter of time. If someone's thinking about BA, you'll be there, I'm sure, or we'll all be there. So fantastic. Well, thank you all for taking time out. Enjoy the rest of the conference, and I'm sure I'll catch up with you again soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Adrian.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Excellent. Well, some really thought-provoking points from our international panel there, and it really does show how valuable, I think how valuable having global connections, local of course, and global connections are, and how we can all learn as practitioners from each other. Because like none of us knows all of it, none of us has anywhere near enough knowledge to know all of it, but between us as a community we can really push through, and we can solve the problems that we in our organizations face. So just before I move on to the next section, I wanted to remind you about a competition that is a thread throughout these BA Fringe episodes. So how would you like to win a free ticket to the BA Summit South Africa 2021? Imagine not having to go to your manager to get funding, not having to write a business case or get a purchase order or whatever you have to do. Well, you could be in with a chance of winning that. All you need to do is get even more active on social media. I'm sure you're social media active already. There are so many things. If you're not checking the BA Summit SA hashtag, you're missing out. There's tons of stuff being posted on there. All you need to do is maybe take a picture, a selfie of you watching your favorite presentation. You might share some notes or just a general text update using the official conference hashtag BA Summit SA. Each one of those on LinkedIn or Twitter will count as an entry, and one lucky winner will be drawn shortly after the conference closes to win a free ticket to next year's conference. And who knows, hopefully that will be in person or hybrid or virtual. Unknown at this point, of course. So that brings us on to our next section, final section of day one of BA Summit, a BA Fringe at BA Summit Southern Africa. Have you ever wondered why BA communities are so important, and how BA communities like IIBA are so important, particularly at this time in history? Well, Danelkis Serra put together a short video for us to explain. So Danelkis, over to you.
Hi, Adrian. Thank you for having me on BA Summit South Africa. It's actually been really nice to at least virtually travel. Before I answer your question, if you don't mind, I want to take you guys across the pond over to my world for a little bit, and then I'll come back to you.
What if I was to tell you that this is the world I live in? It's beautiful, lush, a lot of greenery.
Okay, Dee. So it was lush before the hurricanes. It's not as lush anymore. It's still beautiful, but it's still an isolated road out in the middle of nowhere. That's not exactly giving people an idea of where we live.
So what if I was to tell you that this is my world?
Okay, so we have a grocery store with roosters. That's normal, right? I guess that doesn't really tell everybody what world we live in, does it? How about this?
I live in the Florida Keys, and I know I mentioned I was going to give you an aerial view. However, the blue waters underwater is what really draws me here. With all this beauty, we also need to embrace the negatives, and those are our hurricanes.
So now you know a little bit about my world and my craziness. I actually had an ulterior motive when I was showing you that. Adrian started off by asking me a question, and I could have simply just answered it, but I wanted to somewhat give you an analogy. So when I mentioned that I lived down an isolated road, I want you to go back and think about that as your self-learning. You either pick up a book, or you take a training class, or even just simply your experiences in a workplace. I then took that isolated road and took you to the grocery store with the chickens and roosters. That is your job. That is your workplace. So think about it. You have people coming in and out. You have different departments, different areas, same as in a grocery store. And then you have your chickens that you work with, and you have the store manager. So you have a little bit of everything. You all have experiences that you share. You also bring experiences with you from elsewhere, and you learn from each other. So you now have the next level where you have isolation, self-learning, You have your workplace where you collaborate and you learn from each other, and you might do trainings together as well. And then I took you on the aerial view. And then the aerial view is a different perspective that offers us our community. It's those experiences that we have with people outside of our organization that we get to learn from, either learnings that they have, mistakes that they've gone through. It's seeing outside of what you're accustomed to on a day-to-day, what else is going on. And these communities could be within your same neighborhood. It could be the chapter down the street. It could be something global. So, disclaimer, I currently do work for the International Institute of Business Analysis. However, I've been a part of IIBA for many years before I came on board. And through IIBA is where I got to go outside of my immediate organization and outside of my community and meet other fellow related, like-minded business analysis professionals like Adrian. Adrian and I met at BBC years ago, and we've been able to stay friends. There's other people that I've either met at conferences or I met this year even over virtual events where I could reach out to them and say, hey, have you ever been in this situation? Has this ever happened to you at work? And they're able to offer me a perspective completely different than what I've been exposed to. Or I might have read something in a book, or I might have gotten a training, but I've never actually had those experiences myself. And you could very easily reach out, even if you don't have that immediate connection yet. Through your chapters, through your communities, you could very simply go on one of the chapter pages or on social media. A lot of them have chapter pages, and you could say, hey, I'm in this situation, or hey, I've heard of this. Can you share some insight? This is what's going to help us elevate ourselves. It's going to help us elevate each other. It's going to help us grow our communities and our profession and take us to the next level. Our natural state is we seek value for everybody. We need to seek value for ourselves and our profession. And this is one of those ways to do it, is by reaching out within your community and helping each other, getting the word out of, hey, you really do need a business analyst on your project. Or, hey, look how all these new techniques and all these new scenarios that I'm now exposed to, and people like-minded, because we're special, that you could bounce ideas off of and help each other. So going back again, and I keep referring to it because I kind of really do like my analogy. I could either live on that isolated road all by myself reading a book. I should have recorded it with a book. Or I could attend these conferences. I could make sure that I connect with people, whether it's on chats, whether it's by attending all these sessions. Luckily, the world that we've been put into has made it easier for us to now communicate and collaborate with each other even more. So take advantage of these opportunities. Again, I do work for IIBA, but I've been a believer for many years prior. It is a great platform. We have 120 chapters worldwide. We curate information for you, so there's no need to go out there and start Googling stuff. You could just come on our site and look for the answers that you're looking for. Connect with other fellow-minded business analysis professionals. Actually, we even have books online. We have a library of 11,000 books that you have access to just by being a member. And these are things that you gain within our community, our global community. So I'm really excited. This is a topic that I'm passionate about, and I'm so pleased that Adrian came to me with this question. We weren't put in this world to live in a room that's isolated. And we shouldn't do the same thing with our careers. We need to expand and take advantage and see the whole and participate. It's just, again, I only have a few minutes to talk, but I could talk about this for hours. And on the theme of connecting and reaching out, feel free to reach out to all of us. I know for sure you can reach out to me, but I'm sure I can speak on behalf of many of our leaders in our industry. This is how we grow, and this is how we thrive. We connect with each other, we help each other take our profession to the next level. So I'm hoping that some of you are going to reach out to me, and I will see you around at one of our chapter events. Talk to you soon.
Fantastic. So some really interesting food for thought there from Danelkis, and a big thanks to Danelkis for putting that video together for us. We've actually had a whole string of shout-outs come in the last like 20 minutes. So I know I can't physically read all of these out in the last minute of airtime that we have, but I will read a few out just before we close off for the day. A great way to end what's been, I'm sure you'll agree, a fantastic conference. So if I don't read your shout-out out right now, don't worry, we'll cover it in the first show tomorrow. So we have a shout-out from Arlene. Arlene says, thank you to all speakers and summit team who made a great first day of the conference possible and also so ultra enjoyable. Lots of rich learnings and refined perspectives. See you all tomorrow. So absolutely see you tomorrow, Arlene. Looking forward to that. We have Catello. Catello says, oh, Catello. Catello says, you are doing a great job, Adrian and production team. Love these sessions. Thank you so much. We're really enjoying them too, so we hope you're enjoying them. We have Francois. And Francois says, rocking presentation to Angie Doyle. Definitely food for thought and checklist item to make work of for 2020. So I think that's a fantastic shout out for us to end the show on. So thank you to everyone who has sent a shout out in. As a reminder, we will cover as many of them as we can. And all you need to do is fill in the form at bafringe.live. Could be something you're celebrating, a key learning point or whatever. But we are sadly out of time. So that ends BA Fringe at BA Summit Southern Africa. Day one. Catch us again tomorrow at 8 a.m. early with your cup of coffee and your breakfast, where we'll be discussing IT and complexity and some morning mindfulness. So see you then, and thanks for tuning in.